Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of our Rise to the Top challenge on the F1 2022 game, starting from Formula 2. If you're wondering why the audio isn't matching up with the visuals, it is because I did a boo-boo on OBS and essentially I've lost the audio channel for my mic. But fear not, this gives me an opportunity to try this type of video in a new fashion. So this is our last race on the current F2 season, and might even be our last episode ever if we get booted out of the career mode, as we are currently last in the standings. No points, no podiums, no wins, just crashes and spins. But let's put that to one side right now, because that's not important. What's important here is that we need to be getting out of crashes and spins and start improving our times. It's been a while since I've driven in Abu Dhabi, so it is kind of a new track for me and I definitely need a refresher, so I'm gonna take it a bit slow to start off with, then hopefully we can pick up some time here and there. Let's get into it. Starting off with the practice session, we head off as usual in our track acclimatization program.
Okay, your goal is to get through as many corner gates as quickly and precisely as possible. Best of luck out there.
The first lap is terrible as always. As I've said before, I don't remember much of this circuit. I even forgot that the first corner was a left-hander and nearly lost it coming out of said corner. The fastly following, I went too slow. The big hairpin, I braked too early. The big straight is fine, anyone can drive in a straight line, except that I didn't see the kink and I didn't brake hard enough, so I totally missed the second chicane. On the second straight, I looked like I did okay on the start of turn 9, but I'm definitely not using the entirety of the track after the apex. Going into the hotel section too early on the brakes. And then a big slide under the bridge. Thought I caught it, but nope, just straight into the barriers. Luckily, there's no damage on the cars. I waited a little bit for the car behind me to pass me first before continuing. Running very wide out of turn 20. And also wide on 21 as well. Across the line, giving us a 1 minute 55.896 with a score of 185 for acclimatization, where the first target would be 385.
Turn 18, turn 19, turn 20, turn 21.
And actually this lap following was my best time for the whole session, gaining 0.7 seconds off the first couple of corners, braked later for the hairpin but definitely still too early, getting us to minus 1.5 seconds by the time to turn DRS on for the first straight. Massively overshooting the braking point and didn't even get through the first chicane, which is probably why after that we're up to minus 4.8 seconds. But we've also gained time in the big hairpin in turn 11 to 14. We didn't spin off under the bridge this time, but we did miss the apex. We also didn't overshoot the last 2 corners, bringing us to a time of 1 minute 41 seconds .935 with a score of 250.
Okay, this is the last lap.
We didn't really manage to improve any more over the practice session, as I was testing different braking points and of course many spins and off tracks like this one. And this one. How about that one? And this one? Oh, and look at this massive save I just did. And this contact, which was probably 100% my fault, as I was about to go into the pit lane and I just cut across the poor guy and probably killed his front wing. This pretty much ended our session as well, as we have front wing damage, which took up the most of the remaining time to fix. But I did have a go of driving out of pit lane into the tunnel and then immediately damaging the front wing by going to the barrier. And that was it. Having a look at the times, we have managed to improve individual sector times in the later laps, but all the spins didn't help us put a better lap time altogether. And we are trailing a 5.7 second gap behind the leader, which is around the mark where we are normally at in the other sessions. Right, qualifying time. The practice session definitely gave me some confidence that I know the track somewhat, but I do have to pull together the best times from each individual sectors to improve my final lap time. Other than that, my goal really is to learn from the mistakes I made from qualifying, reduce the number of spins and off tracks, and ultimately not to crash off the session. Moving off to the right hand side for turn 1, getting the apex no problem. A little bit sluggish through turns 2, 3 and 4. A bit wide off the hairpin, totally missing the apex. Now I'm braking at the 150 mark for the chicane coming up, hooking up the first chicane, but the transition to the second one wasn't great and not using the entirety of the track coming out to the corner. Down the second straight, sluggish through the hairpin and had to back off a little bit coming out of it. Probably could have braked a little bit later, but I missed the apex anyway. A bit squirmy through 18, missing the apex again on turn 19, as well as not using the whole track. Managed to get through the last 2 corners okay, giving us a time of 1 minute 40.306. Already improved the time from practice section, which was 1 minute 41.935, albeit we are currently on softer tyres, but at least we are heading in the right direction. Also, you would have thought if we could actually improve our times. Lap 2 we spun on the bridge. Lap 3 we spun in the first corner. Lap 4 we spun on the last corner in lap 3, so we got a bad start. Lap 5, I spun on the first corner again, trying to accelerate off the curb. Lap 6 we didn't spin, but we were actually down on a 141.1, as there were some off tracks despite improvements somewhere else in the lap. After all of that cover, we have one outing to try and improve our time before the session ends. We didn't start too well with a wobble from the firing lap, but it was time we can potentially get back. But I just kept missing the mark with our cornering, losing more and more time throughout the lap. So I thought we'd probably be able to push to finish this lap and do one final lap after this. But, we spun out on the last corner again. And what's with these last corners? And let me show you what happens after the spin. So I was trying to spin my car back facing the correct way, but I overshot and just got T-boned by the car behind, and another poorly timed one took out another one. Just look at my face, which you can't see at the moment because I'm covering it in shame. Let's have a look at that from a different angle. So I saw that car coming past, overspun, got the first contact, and through the smoke didn't see the second car coming, which completely wiped him out, which the stationary car was then bumped into. So another retirement in the back, placing last and also picking up a 5-place grid penalty, which wouldn't matter anyway as I'm last already naturally. I don't really remember what I said after that stupid crash, but probably something along the lines of, if I've had a better look at the minimap I wouldn't have crashed, if I'd been a better driver I wouldn't have spun out and crashed, etc, etc, just, you know, bad driver saying stuff.
Let's finish the season with a really strong effort, come on.
Well, we always put in the effort, but our results are just plain terrible. So lights out and away we go at the Abu Dhabi F2 sprint race. And the terrible start for us, veering off to the right from the tyres lighting up, trying to look to the inside for turn 1 but a bit far back for the dive. Still following through for the fast corners. And look what's this, an opportunity for us to dive down the inside, making up 2 places, but contact with Roy Nisani as we oversteer into him, spun us out a bit and put us right at the very back again. Caught up with the pack as they single filed through the chicane after the first straight, and we actually managed to go around Ben Fiscal as he got forced onto the curb by Roy Nisani, and we moved up to place in first. Down the second straight into the big hairpin, we left the door wide open for Ben to dive right past on the inside. And that's actually all the wheel-to-wheel combat that you're going to see as we get smoked by the pack. On lap 5 we spun twice. Let's have a look at the onboard and see what happens there. As far as on the final lap, we spun and took out the entire front wing, trying to accelerate off the curb, so no surprise there. Before running very wide and finishing the race.
Alright, I know it's been a rough year, but let's try to stay positive. Even the greats had some poor seasons, so we'll knuckle down over the winter and we'll come back stronger next time.
Obviously, there were more spins and mishaps than what you can see on the highlights, as indicated by the terribly inconsistent lap times. And the big reason why there weren't any fights after lap 1 was because I spun twice. It's not a surprise at this point, is it? Carrying on from sprint race 1, we want to improve on our spinning rate, as in to spin less and be more consistent with our lap times and not crash out. So let's go, sprint race 2. Five flights and away we go. Good initial takeoff, but immediately into the wall on the second phase, as well as struggling to get into reverse and taking extra long to get back into the race. I decided not to pit and just kept on going with half a front wing, which meant that the car is a lot more understeering. But actually, we're not doing too bad in the second lap, as we kept ignoring calls for us to go into the pit for a new front wing. We got a 1 minute 43.013 for lap 2, which considering our lack of front wing isn't too bad. At this point you might realize why I'm only showing you onboard footage, and the answer is in the last lap. Throughout the race we have been getting slower since lap 2, with our lap times consistently dropping to a 1 minute 45.9 on lap 5. On lap 6, on our favourite corner, the long hairpin, I understeered out of the corner onto the curb, and when I was trying to accelerate out of the curb, we spun straight into the barrier, taking out the rest of my front wing and also our front right wheel as well. I hung my head in shame. It was so close to the finish, but I got greedy and wanted to finish with a better lap time. At this point, maybe I should just retire from racing entirely. But we are not going to do that. We still have maybe one last race on our F2 career. If we can actually not spin and crash out, I would be quite happy for this. So maybe for the last time, 5 flights and away we go. It's not a terrible start. Made a good choice not to dive down on the inside of turn 1. Fine on the fast corners, and actually half a decent move down the first hairpin, overtaking Richard Verschoor and Ben Fiskow. Through the straight and we got overtaken, but down to the braking zone of the chicane we have the inside line. We do have contact with Richard Verschoor as I try to open up a bit more for space for the corner, but Ben Fiskow was coming in, sandwiching Richard between us. Somehow Richard ended up in front of us as we come up to the second chicane. Through the second straight, we are still 3 wide. We took the inside line, but we washed out and contacted with Richard, allowing Ben to go through the inside of us. The highlights didn't show how we lost the place as he skipped straight to lap 4. But what happened was we spun out under the bridge again, facing Verschoor. He stopped, but we actually managed to hold on to position as we spun around and continued. We only lost position because we washed out wide in the final corner. Carrying on with the highlights, we spun out in lap 4 in slow motion. Just before the finishing line and nearly heading straight into the wall again after refacing the right way. Is this another spin out of lap 6? Nope, just a lot of corner cutting. But lap 7 we did spin out and took a chunk of the front wing. And finally coming out very wide from the final corner, finishing our race and our season.
Okay, good effort, good effort. I know it's been a tough year, we've been through a lot, but we'll keep at it, keep improving, and we'll bounce back again next season.
At this point I was like, since we're at the bottom of the championship, they probably bounce me back and make me repeat the series until I'm in the top 3 or something like that, and that will essentially be the end of the series until I'm good enough to be in F1. But no, I was surprised with a team to choose to be in F1, and I have free reign to choose whichever one I wanted as well. This is like as if I'm starting a new career mode game. Not really much thought from Codemasters here, we're going from F2 into F1. Either that or they just assume I have a really rich daddy that will buy me a racing team. So here it looks like each team has their own expectations from you as a driver, but it doesn't really limit you to the Mercedes Driver Academy team either. Realistically, I probably would struggle in any team, so I just went for Williams as the expectation is lower, and even if I don't score any points, I won't get into trouble, or at least less trouble, compared to if I joined the top or midfield teams. I was debating on choosing which teammate to have. If I choose Latifi, I might have an easier time as I suspect the driver rating is lower compared to Alex, but I'd rather have a good teammate than having an easier time. Plus, Alex is a good guy, a nice guy. I also chose the full 22 race calendar, so you can expect a lot more videos from me for this series. But seeing me get a chance to do this, I'm going to change things slightly differently going forwards. I'll turn on some assists for the practice like dynamic racing line, as well as getting setups from the Steam store. But come quali and racing, the dynamic racing line will be turned off again. Hopefully with more and longer practice sessions, I can learn the track more and give better wheel-to-wheel content comes the race. I think I also like this voice-over style video more as I can control more of the story narrative compared to being in the cockpit view. So the camera might go as well, but I'm not sure on that yet. Let me know whether you like this change or not. And that's it from me today. Give me a like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing here. Also check out my other videos like my piano and flute tutorial series for the ABRSM exams, and I'll also have more videos out for different hobbies and DIY projects that I'm working on in the background at the moment. I'll see you in the next video on Master of None. Bye!